like I say, when the weather is calm, the illegal immigrants cross the channel in large numbers. We need a different approach. So the Conservative plan is to leave the ECHR, which will enable us to say to illegal immigrants who arrive, there's going to be no human rights claim, no asylum claim, no modern slavery claim, no hotel, no legal aid, no court process, no nothing. They'll just get deported within a week of arrival back to their country of origin if possible, or a safe third country like Rwanda if not.
The new Prime Minister was in Dover yesterday. He used the visit to promise that his government will be relentless in curbing the number of people arriving in the UK on small boats. He said progress had been made and the government was changing the whole approach. What does the opposition make of the claim? Chris Philp is the Shadow Home Secretary, joins us now. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning, Stig.
The problem has clearly not gone away. It's clearly very significant, but the numbers are down year on year. Are you willing to start with that concession that while we haven't got the problem completely fixed, things have started to get better?
Well, I spoke to a fishing boat skipper on the English Channel last week and I asked him about these numbers. He said the wave height on the Channel this year has been the worst for decades. He's had to cancel a lot of fishing trips, and that is why boat crossing numbers are down a bit compared to last year. When the sea is calm, as it was, for example, last Wednesday, I'm afraid to say the illegal immigrants continue to flood in. So last Wednesday, when the sea was calm, 750 illegal immigrants entered the UK just on one day. In the first 12 days of Andy Burnham's premiership, over 2,000 illegal immigrants entered the country. So the only thing protecting our borders right now is the wave height on the Channel. I was on the beaches of northern France last Wednesday, that day I mentioned. I witnessed roughly 100 illegal immigrants leave the French shore, while the French gendarmes, who the Labour government are paying for with £660 million of our money, they stood there and did nothing whatsoever while the illegal immigrants waited around on the beach for about 3 hours before embarking. And then when they did embark into the boat in knee-deep water, and I was standing in the water next to the boat, identifying and challenging the people smuggler, the gendarmes, there were 10 of them, they were armed, they just stood there by the water's edge doing nothing at all. And one of them then admitted to me on camera that they had orders not to physically intervene, by contrast to their Belgian neighbours who do intervene.
So why is that?
Both safely and effectively.
Is that because they don't want to? Is it because the French government actually wants these people off their land? What's the reason behind that, do you think?
Well, it's hard to speculate as to the motive. They claim it's for safety reasons, which is nonsense because, I mean, literally, we were knee-deep in water and the Belgians do it perfectly safely. So I don't really understand what their problem is. I do know that Shabana Mahmood is paying them £660 million and it's not working because, like I say, when the weather is calm, the illegal immigrants cross the channel in large numbers. We need a different approach. So the Conservative plan is to leave the ECHR, which will enable us to say to illegal immigrants who arrive, there's going to be no human rights claim, no asylum claim, no modern slavery claim, no hotel, no legal aid, no court process, no nothing. They'll just get deported within a week of arrival back to their country of origin if possible, or a safe third country like Rwanda if not.
So does that mean Rwanda would you try and restart Rwanda if you got back into power?
Yes, we would. A version of that. We'd also return people directly to their country of origin. I mean, for example, Germany last week returned people, men, I should add, to Afghanistan, for example. So it is possible to return people to their country of origin. But if for some reason it's not possible, you need a safe third country like Rwanda or somewhere equivalent otherwise. And we know, because Australia did this 13 years ago, that if you deport people virtually immediately upon arrival with no messing around with court processes, then pretty quickly they stop bothering to cross in the first place. It worked in Australia and it would work here as well, but there's no sign the Labour government is going to take that action necessary. That is the only way to stop this, because at the moment the illegal immigrants arrive here, they get a hotel, a cushy hotel, they get to work illegally, and only 5% get deported. 95% get to stay, and that's why they keep crossing the channel.
Do you think the lesson from Ceuta actually is that, you know, the Spanish government, the Supreme Court has a variety of rules in Spain about what they can and can't do, and they seem to, at least partially, to have ignored some of them. Is there a lesson? What would Donald Trump do in this situation? He would just ignore the laws because he didn't think they were fit for purpose and then worry about the legal ramifications afterwards. How far would you go down that route to say that laws that stop us doing the right things are not laws that should be respected?
Well, I would actually just change the law. So, and first of all, the lesson from Ceuta and from Greece 13 years ago and from the USA last year is that on the Mexican border is that tough action does work. Tough action does work. But rather than ignore laws, because I do believe in the rule of law as a Conservative, I would change the laws. I would immediately, and the Conservatives would immediately come out of the ECHR, and we would change our domestic law so no longer would illegal immigrants be able to claim asylum or make human rights claims or have the right to get put up in hotels. I would change the law here to enable illegal immigrants to be immediately deported. I wouldn't break the law, I would change the law.
Just to move on to a different subject, one we're talking about a lot this morning. In an article for The Times this morning, the new Education Secretary, Lucy Powell, said that schools were stuck in a straitjacket of being forced to only prioritise academic subjects like English, science and history. Is she right? Are English schools too academic to equip people for the right skills for a modern world?
This is crackpot nonsense from Lucy Powell. It's absolutely bananas. I mean, schools are there to give kids an education, and in the modern world, of course you need to be literate, of course you need to be numerate, of course you need to understand the sciences. It was a triumph of the last government, and Michael Gove in particular, that his reforms introduced higher standards in schools. English schools, it was only England, because in Wales and Scotland they didn't do this, but in England we shot up the international league tables for maths, for languages, for science. We now compete with South Korea, with Singapore, with Scandinavia and the Shanghai City region, thanks to Michael Gove's reform.
But she's saying that's not relevant in a world of AI where everyone needs to be plumbers and everyone needs to be welders. Knowing about Byron doesn't help you with that. You need to be able to good with your hands is the argument that's being posited here.
Listen, you need to be numerate, you need to be literate. I mean, Catherine Burbala Singh, the inspirational head teacher, said that today, even after all these changes, a fair chunk, I think it's like 20 or 30% of kids don't pass their maths GCSE. That is not acceptable. So the idea we should be watering down academic standards is absolutely insane. They're not watering down academic standards in Singapore or China or India or South Korea. They're raising academic standards, and we should be doing the same. What Lucy Powell is proposing to somehow level down, to water down academic standards, is absolutely insane. We should be increasing standards, raising standards, aspiring to be successful, not the reverse. Now, at some point in someone's career, when they get to 16 or 17 and they're making their choices about what to study, between 17 and 18, or what to do when they leave school, sure, there should be vocational choices. Absolutely, there should be. But we should not, under any circumstances, be diluting academic standards, and that is what Lucy Powell is saying. And the fact she's Education Secretary saying that is frankly terrifying.
Chris Philp, thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Here's the Shadow Home Secretary and has a strongish opinion, Kate, on what Lucy Powell has written in the Times today.
Wow.